Coming up today, President Park Geun-hye condemns North Korea for declaring itself a nuclear power in defiance of the international community's warnings. She also accuses Pyongyang of lacking sincerity to improve ties with the South. A foundation for the Korean victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery is likely to be established in the coming months. A $9 million fund has been set aside for the women. Plus, more than 1,200 new planets are discovered through NASA's Kepler space telescope. The haul includes 9 which orbit their sun's habitable zone. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello to our viewers around the world. It's 6 a.m. on Wednesday, May 11th, here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this morning, President Park Geun-hye has once again called for a greater focus on the economy and national security. Following through on her pledge to improve communication with lawmakers, the president also arranged a meeting with senior figures from Korea's 3 major political parties. Our presidential office correspondent Song Ji-sun starts us off.
Putting the people first through dialogue and negotiation. That's how President Park Geun-hye vowed to approach her relationship with lawmakers in coordinating state affairs and national policy. The president will sit down with the recently elected floor leaders and chief policymakers of the country's 3 main parties on Friday afternoon, fulfilling a pledge to improve communication with the parliament.
앞으로 정부와 새로운 원내 지도부 간의 대화와 타협을 통해서 민의를 최우선으로 하는 정치가 이루어지기를 기대합니다. 이런 만남을 통해서 국민의 뜻을 하나로 모으는 소중한 기회가 마련되었으면 합니다.
At the meeting, the president and the politicians will discuss ways to enhance their cooperation and coordinate policy, and the possibility of meeting regularly once the parties have settled their leadership structures. Livelihood issues and reviving the economy are likely to top the agenda, along with North Korea's renewed nuclear threats. At a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, President Park also touched on North Korea's claim to be a nuclear state made by Kim Jong-un at the Workers' Party Congress that closed Monday, and she characterized the regime's actions as a sign that it's unwilling to improve inter-Korean relations.
남북관계 개선을 위한 진정성 있는 변화는 보여주지 못한 채 핵 보유국이라는 억지 주장과 함께 핵 능력 강화를 밝히는 등 국제사회의 경고를 무시하면서 도발 위협을 지속하고 있습니다.
In order to overcome challenges on the national security and economic front, President Park once again stressed that all involved parties should come together as one and stay clear of political strife that undermines the country's interests. 송지선, 아리랑 뉴스.
North Korea held a massive ceremony in Pyongyang on Tuesday to mark the end of its Workers' Party Congress. The North state-run media broadcast the ceremony live for about an hour and a half. EG1 reports.
A red wave of flowers filled Kim Il-sung Square and calls praising North Korean leader Kim Jong-un filled the air. North Korea celebrated the closing day of its 4-day Workers' Party Congress with a mass parade in the capital of Pyongyang on Tuesday morning. Some 100,000 Pyongyang residents came out for the event, chanting and waving flowers until Kim Jong-un appeared to a rush of applause. The young leader was flanked by Hwang Byung-seo, a standing member of the party's political bureau, and Park Bong-ju, cabinet premier. They were followed by some 60 other officials, including Party Secretary Choi Ryong-hae. Kim Yong-nam, president of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly, gave a speech welcoming the crowd.
The Central Committee sends its warmest greetings to the people and soldiers who glorified the Congress as an auspicious event.
He also praised the young leaders, saying that by faithfully following their one and only leader Kim Jong-un, they will always be victorious and shine with glory. People continued chanting the leaders' names, saying Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, glory, and more. At the end of the parade, Kim Jong-un walked around the platform for about 5 minutes, waving at the people as they cheered. 이지원, 아리랑 뉴스.
A top security expert in the United States says it's impossible to predict the timing of North Korea's next nuclear test. David Albright, who is president and founder of the International Institute for Science and International Security, said there are indications Pyongyang is preparing for a test, but it's hard to know when the regime will, quote, push the button. Speaking in Washington on Tuesday, Albright said the North has made it difficult to determine from outside if a test is going to happen today, tomorrow, or next month. Concerns have persisted that the North could carry out its fifth nuclear test sometime around its Workers' Party Congress, which, as we just heard, ended a couple of days ago. Albright said the US has made little tangible progress on North Korea over the past several years, and the issue has been passed to the next administration in the White House. It's been more than 4 months since South Korea and Japan reached a landmark agreement on Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women. While time is ticking for the handful of elderly victims who are still alive, Seoul says there has been progress over the course of the past few months. Kwon-soo with the details.
One of the main points of the landmark deal reached on December 28th last year between South Korea and Japan on the so-called comfort women issue was to establish a foundation run by the South Korean government through which the Japanese government would compensate the victims of the Japanese military's wartime sexual slavery program. Now, more than 4 months later, Seoul's foreign ministry has laid out a time frame for that part of the deal.
If possible, we are aiming for the foundation to be established within the first half of this year. And for that, we're pushing to launch a preparatory committee within this month.
A ministry official told reporters Tuesday the ministry's Northeast Asia chief, an official from the Ministry of Gender, Equality and Family, and others recently visited individual victims across the country to explain the implementation of the deal. Among the 29 individuals, 5 of whom were consulted over the phone, 26 were said to have been positive about the creation of the foundation. But the number excludes the women who live at shelters for comfort women, who have generally been the most negative about the deal. According to the official, the 1 billion Japanese yen, or roughly $9.2 million provided as compensation will be reserved for the surviving victims and those who have died. The funds won't be used to construct a building for the foundation, and the administrative costs will be kept as low as possible. But the government will still have to meet with all 44 of the former comfort women who are still alive today to listen to their wishes, as that's what counts the most. Kwon-soo, Arirang News.
Now, labour organisations here in Korea are not responding warmly to a new performance-based pay system as concerns grow over the domestic economy and the high level of unemployment. Shin Se-min with the details.
The push to implement a performance-based wage system continues. Korea's Financial Services Commission urged government-run financial firms to ratify the performance-based pay. During a meeting with the head of the organizations on Tuesday, FSC's chairman Im Jong-yong asked them to cooperate and lower wages to reasonable levels.
The government may have to come up with punitive measures for public firms that are hesitant to embrace the wage system, like harsher inspections on management efficiency.
The new pay system is a move set by the government to reduce rigidity in the labor market, which it's blamed for the jobless problem. According to the government, automatic annual pay raises have prevented many underperforming workers from leaving companies. It's also blamed for hindering the level of productivity. Data from Statistics Korea shows that long years of labor, despite the level of performances, leads to a drop in work output. Korea's ratio of wage to productivity of state-run financial firms stands at 1, compared to the OECD average of 1.7. Experts say although the new wage system should be adopted by all firms, it won't be an easy road ahead.
Unlike the current system, employees should be given specific duties rather than multiple tasks in order to better track performance. This type of streamlining will also motivate workers to be responsible, automatically boosting the level of productivity.
Despite such moves, this battle over performance-based pay will take some time to settle, with the country's two major labor umbrella unions vowing to stage a massive walkout in September if the government continues to push for implementation. 신세민, Arirang News.
Korea's drone industry has taken off in recent years, but stringent regulations are thought to be stopping it from reaching its full potential. For a look at what the government is doing to support the sector, Kim Ji-yeon reports.
The potential of drones in the mainstream market are considered endless. All you need is a remote control, a drone device, and fast internet connectivity. So it may be a surprise to find that the drone market in Korea, one of the most wired and technologically advanced countries in the world, is facing massive challenges. It becomes a bigger conundrum considering the country ranks the 7th in the world in terms of level of drone-related technology, according to a study by Britain-based consulting firm Frost & Sullivan. The same study also shows, however, that Korea only stands as the 30th strongest country in the world in terms of drone sales. The Drone Industry Promotion Association attributes the discrepancy to tight regulations as the main factor that's hindering the country's potential drone growth.
No one wants to put up with administrative work required to test drones. On top of notifying related authorities a week beforehand, there's also additional regulations to consider, depending on the weight and electromagnetic wave frequency of your model.
In comparison, the global drone industry is flourishing, particularly in neighboring China, where there's virtually no red tape to deal with. China's drone industry is estimated to have pulled in $700 million last year alone, ranking 3rd in the world in terms of sales. The Drone Association says the global drone industry as a whole is expected to grow into a $12.5 billion industry by 2023 from the $5.3 billion estimated in 2014. In response, the industry ministry says it will work with the land ministry to come up with ways to alleviate level of regulations to raise Korea's drone industry to the top 3 following the U.S. and Israel. The Korean government will set aside $37.3 million in 5 years starting in 2017 to build traffic management and surveillance system for the technological development and safe passage of drones so that they can take up the skies in the near future. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News. Local civic groups and families of the victims of Oxy's toxic disinfectants have joined forces to launch a week-long boycott of all of the company's products. Retailers have also showed support by pulling Oxy products from their shelves. Lee Min-young reports.
The UK-based Oxy-Reckitt Benckiser, the maker of one of disinfectants blamed for causing hundreds of deaths and illnesses in Korea, is facing massive backlash as Koreans are turning their backs on their products. It was not until Kim Dok-jong, a South Korean father who lost his son because of the toxic disinfectants, staged a protest in front of the company's London headquarters last Saturday, did the chief of Reckitt Benckiser make a formal apology to the victims and their families. According to Ministry of Environment, more than 200 people have suffered from oxy sterilizers, including 95 related deaths. It stands as one of the worst consumer product scandals to hit Korea, which is why so many have joined campaigns to boycott and block Oxy products from the local market. And the movement is gaining huge momentum nationwide.
I have been waiting for so long for people to stop buying products made by this shameless company.
We'll fight until the end, banding together with the victims of the humidifier sterilizers, and we will demand a sincere apology.
Civic groups have also vowed to carry on such campaigns until the victims and their families are properly compensated and Oxy is kicked out of the country for good.
I hope that this incident could be a wake-up call so that violating companies are held responsible and forced out of the country.
In cooperation with other local and international organizations, families of the victims say they plan to stage more protests and engage in online campaigning activities. Meanwhile, major convenience store chains GS25, CU, 7-Eleven, as well as supermarket chains including Lotte Mart and E-Mart are starting to scale back or pull all Oxy products from their shelves. Lee Min-young, Arirang News.
Now some exciting news in the search for life outside of our own world. NASA's Kepler mission has verified 1,284 new planets beyond the boundaries of our solar system. Of the newly discovered worlds, 9 are less than twice the size of Earth and are located in the so-called habitable zone around their stars. Now this means they might have a climate where water in liquid form could exist. NASA says the discovery gives hope that we can eventually discover an Earth-like planet that sustains life. The confirmed planets double the number of planets discovered by the Kepler telescope. In 2014, NASA announced the discovery of 715 new worlds outside our solar system. They are known as exoplanets. Since then, astronomers have discovered hundreds more using data collected by Kepler. The total number of confirmed Kepler exoplanets now tops 2,300. US President Barack Obama will visit Hiroshima this month, becoming the first sitting American leader to set foot there since the US dropped an atomic bomb on the city during World War II. The White House says Obama will meet with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on May 27th to highlight his continued commitment to, quote, pursuing peace and security in a world without nuclear weapons, end quote. It added the decision to visit Hiroshima comes after close consideration, but offered no sign of an apology for the August 1945 attack. President Obama travels to Japan this month for his final G7 summit as US president, while in Asia he's also scheduled to visit Vietnam. Well, that's all we have for now on this Wednesday morning here in Seoul. We'll be back with our next scheduled newscast at 10 a.m. Korea time. So until then, goodbye.